Palisades and Eaton fires, devastation to determination. Tonight, the mother of a man killed in the Palisades fire has filed a lawsuit against those she feels are responsible for his death, and she's not alone. Thanks once again for joining us. I'm Colleen Williams.
And I'm Michael Brownlee. Wrongful death lawsuits have now been filed for each of the 12 people who died as a result of the Palisades fire. Those cases say local and state governments should be held responsible, even though arson charges have been filed against the man accused of causing it.
Our investigative reporter Leonard was in Malibu today following one of the victims' stories. He joins us live with an update. Eric.
Hi, Colleen and Michael. Well, until now, the thousands of fire victims who filed or joined Palisades lawsuits were seeking compensation for losing homes or businesses. Now, the families of the people who died in the fire say LA City, LA County, the state, and other agencies are responsible for the spread of the Palisades fire and therefore should be responsible for these deaths.
This is sacred land to me now because of my Rory. And
Shelley Sykes showed me around her hilltop property in Malibu, where her 32-year-old son Rory died when the flames that started nearly a day earlier in the Palisades burned north into Malibu and eventually her neighborhood.
A lot of the houses here, out of 64 houses, only 11 survived.
Her wrongful death lawsuit alleges the local water district and LA County should be liable because she says water that fed the fire hydrant on the street outside and her property's firefighting sprinklers was turned off before the flames reached her home on the morning of January 8th.
Who turns water off on the day of a fire?
In general, her lawsuit and the other wrongful death cases say various government agencies should be held responsible for the deaths, damage, and losses from the Palisades fire. Allegations that LA City, LA County, the state of California, and other government entities have all said in court should be dismissed. Shelley says her son Rory was blind and physically disabled and had traveled the world with her. Here they are in Antarctica when he was much younger. She says on the day of the fire, Rory was afraid to leave his cottage on the property as the flames burned closer. And after her home, that looked like this before the fire, burned, she could see her son's cottage was gone.
There was just metal charcoal, and I said, "Where's Rory?" And there was nothing. Apparently the detectives found him. They found him under all the ash.
She's just installed this metal phoenix as a memorial to her son and says she plans to stay on the property and rebuild.
So I'm here probably to try and live my best life. And it's how
all of the government agencies that have been named in these lawsuits have denied in court and in public statements that they should be responsible for any of what happened, keeping in mind arson charges have been filed against a man accused of causing the fire. He's pleaded not guilty. Some of the agencies being sued here say only he should be held responsible for the fire and the deaths and destruction it caused. Live in the newsroom, I'm investigative reporter Leonard, NBC4 News. Back to you.
Eric, thank you. 31 people were killed in those fires, 12 in the Palisades, 19 in Altadena. And while those families are still grieving, they are turning their pain into purpose. NBC4's Lolita Lopez joins us live in Altadena now with more on how loved ones are honoring their family members. Lolita.
Colleen, for those we talked to, going back to that day is hard. Their loved ones' final resting places, the very homes where they nurtured and created their families. But they're remembering their loved ones as well, inspired by them to continue to advocate for their community.
She was a God-fearing Christ person who would sing and talk about God.
Zaire Calvin's sister, Evelyn, never made it out of her home in Altadena.
That's where my sister and my sons stayed.
A property shared by Zaire and other family members. 5 homes gone. 19 lives were lost in his beloved community in the Eaton fire last January. For him, it's hard not to think
these people should be here.
Every day is a struggle for me.
Hajimi White speaks to us from her home in Arkansas. She lost her father, 69-year-old Anthony Mitchell Sr., an amputee who relied on his wheelchair, and her 36-year-old brother, Justin, who had cerebral palsy. They shared a home on West Terrace Street in Altadena. She shows us 2 stuffed animals, a dragon for Justin, a frog for her dad.
This is a frog with my dad's voice inside. My daughters them did this for me. And a heartbeat.
Just checking on you. Love you. Merry Christmas.
A voicemail from Christmas, weeks before he passed. It was the same voice that called 911 on January 8th, 2025, pleading for help.
Okay. So 2 people total?
Yes.
And it's catching on fire now. I can see the flames. Hurry, please.
I feel they was ignored. My dad and my brother, they was failed. The system failed them.
Hajimi and Zaire tell us they want accountability for how the fire started and how agencies responded, with the hope of preventing delayed notifications and the pain of losing loved ones from happening again.
Every person who was lost in this fire wanted to be here. It wasn't their choice to be taken the way they were.
Don't let it happen again. Please don't.
And you saw there Hajimi wearing green. She says that was the color of her father's eyes, and she hopes that people tomorrow will wear green. Her dad watching over her and so many others. Live in Altadena, Lolita Lopez, NBC4 News.